Immigration status about the Indonesian woman in a mixed marriage situation here in the Netherlands, because we have a lot of problems. We face a lot of issues about immigration status. Even though you are married with Dutch man, you still have a term, 5 years term, that you have to stay with your partners. You have to stay with your husband. Otherwise, you will lose your immigration status, and you will be undocumented people. And we have a lot of undocumented persons, a lot of undocumented women who are, getting married with a Dutch man, but the status is not proceed by the husband. So we face a lot of issues in the immigration status, and Miss Martine Flipse will explain about this. And she will also explain about situations when you face the domestic violence. And Ibu Amy Hall akan menjelaskan mengenai berbagai masalah, apapun secara general, entah itu prenuptial agreement, pernikahan sebelum menikah, atau mengenai properti di Indonesia, bagaimana hak kita sekarang menikah dengan WNA, lalu apakah kita punya hak untuk memiliki properti kita di Indonesia, bagaimana. Oke, saya nggak mau panjang lebar, dan Bapak Jun nantinya juga akan menjelaskan dari pihak KBRI. Saya nggak mau panjang lebar, silakan. I will give the floor first of all perhaps to Miss Martine. Yeah, please.
Hello, my name is Flipse. I study immigration law in the University of Utrecht, and I have more than 10 years of experience in immigration law. I have my own company, and I'm legal, and I'm the owner and also immigration lawyer. How can we assist you? The purpose of stay, residence permit partner, the requirements, change of conditions, and domestic violence, and the process, because it is quite complicated. Okay. Well, I don't have to explain this very a lot. We are specialists in actually business migration, setting up businesses, and startups, investors, and also individuals. We help people with applications for different purposes of stay, and we offer individual counseling and advice. We have relevant and legal strategic advice for every situation, and we can present it to you in the most effective way. What can we offer? We can help with the applications, all kind of applications, if you want to change your application to a different purpose of stay. But what if you have any kind of rejection and withdrawal? What can you do? You can go and follow the objections or the appeals, and you need a lawyer for this. Also, what I say in the beginning, we assist with startup of new companies, get a work and a residence permit, for instance, as a highly skilled migrant. We also are specialized in fiscal law, so we can give you the whole package. Okay, if you want to stay in the Netherlands, it is important that you have a purpose of stay, otherwise you cannot get a permit. That means that you have kind of category, for instance, staying with spouse or partner, or with child, staying as a student, as a researcher, staying for work, or opening a business. There are a lot of categories, but you need to have a purpose of stay in the Netherlands, otherwise you will never get a residence permit. And that can change also if you wish. Okay, if you have a residence permit staying with partner, then you need to fulfill some kind of requirements. That means that you have to have a relationship, you have to have a certain age, no criminal record, sufficient income by the partner, and you need to do the Dutch exam abroad Once you are here and you have the permit, you also need to meet some requirements. For instance, you need to live together on one address. If you change your address, you have a problem. And also, if your partner doesn't have any income left, then you also can have a problem. That means that if the condition of your purpose of stay will change, you always have to understand that it can be a serious consequence for your residence permit. So, change of the conditions. What will happen if you don't want to stay with your partner anymore? Want to end the relationship, want to get a divorce? What can you do? You can apply for a permanent residence permit if you already have a residence permit for 5 years. But that's the easy part, because then you don't have any problems. What will happen if you stay shorter than the 5 years? What can you do? In this case, if you have a shorter than 5 years stay in the Netherlands, you need to find a different purpose of stay. So you can change. Perhaps you can find a new partner, you can get a work permit, or you can open a business, or perhaps you have a child that you can stay. What if there is domestic violence in your relationship? Then it's not that easy. If you want to leave your partner and there is any kind of abuse, what can you do? Of course, the best way is to get an independent residence permit, but that is, you need to stay with your partner more than 5 years. If there is domestic violence, you can get a permit very easy, and you don't need to do the civic integration exam. So the government want to help people, or women or men that are abused, but apply for a permanent humanitarian residence permit. It's not an easy process. What you need to know is that you have to prove that there is some kind of domestic violence in your relationship. How can you do this? You need to go to the police and say, I was abused by my partner, but then you need also evidence. You can get a logbook and try to get any kind of photos, pictures, evidence that you can use for the police. Then you have a report of the police, and with this report you can go to the IND, or you can come to me. We have a conversation and we talk about how we can get you a new residence permit. This permit is especially for abused women or men, and it is lasting for 1 year. If the abuse if there's enough evidence, then they can extend to your residence permit. So, but at least you have 1 year, and you can find a new purpose of stay. You can be safe, and you can find a way to handle all your problems, your emotional problems. Sometimes you have human trafficking. Maybe Indonesian women don't have. I knew a lot of Chinese that were a victim of human trafficking. What can you do if you are a victim of human trafficking and you were working as a sex slave? Well, there are kind of ways to get a new residence permit, but you have to report it to the police. Without a report, you cannot get any kind of residence permit. What will happen? The police want you to cooperate together to track down and prosecute the person who is trafficking you. Your report or statement can be used to apply for the residence permit, so the report is once again very important. You will get a residence permit for 1 year, and if you are entitled to the residence permit, that means that the judge or the district attorney thinks that yes, you were a victim, you will get a permanent residence permit. Well, what if you are not a victim of domestic violence, you are not abused, and there was no reason to stay here except that you want to stay here? What can you do? And that is quite important, because you can find another reason to stay, and that is called humanitarian residence permit. It can happen only if you have a convention reason that is on humanitarian nature. That means For example, if you have children that have a residence permit, you can stay with your children according to Article 8 that states that you have a right of life with your family life. So it is very important not to give up and always look for a place, a residence permit or a reason to stay, and always try to find a lawyer who is specialized in that kind of cases. This is... Oh. Terima kasih. If you have any questions, please, you can call me. The intake is for free, so.
Thank you, Ms. Martine. Thank you.